Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sexual Assault Survivor Stories, the SASS podcast. I'm your host, Dave Markel, coming to you from the Long Valley studio in Washington, Utah. Most of you already know the foundation of this podcast, but for those of you who are new here, I want you to know that this show serves a dual purpose. First, it provides a safe space for victims and survivors of rape or sexual assault to share their experiences to facilitate healing. Secondly, it educates listeners on the principles of a trauma-informed response, going beyond superficial understanding to foster effective advocacy and positive action. The goals of this podcast are to promote healing and provide a furthering of your knowledge about the prevalence of rape culture in our communities and how being trauma-informed is a powerful step in reducing that prevalence. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. This is episode 148, and again this week, I don't have a guest with me, but I felt it was important to take a moment to address a few things that have been on my mind lately, things that I think are worth talking about with you, the incredible listeners who make this show possible. I've been reflecting on where this podcast started and where it's gone, and I think it's time to have a conversation about the impact this show is having, the importance of what I'm doing here, and why I'm so committed to continuing this work. I also want to take a step back and talk to you directly about how much this community means to me and how it's grown over time. I'm actually really glad to have this opportunity to connect with you without a guest today. First off, I just want to express my deep appreciation for all of you. The support and loyalty that you've shown this podcast have been nothing short of extraordinary. Whether you've been with me from the very first episode or you've only just recently discovered the show, your commitment to this cause has been palpable. It's because of you, your dedication, your willingness to share, and your passion for this work that this podcast has reached so many people. It's hard to believe, but this show has grown from just a handful of listeners to thousands every week. That's not something I take for granted. It's because of your word-of-mouth sharing, your social media posts, and your willingness to tell others about the powerful healing conversations that happen here. You've made this possible, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge that and to thank you. Thank you for your unwavering support and for helping make this podcast what it is today. Now, let's talk about something that's critically important to me. Normalizing the conversation. It's a phrase I say often on this show, but it's more than just a slogan. It's a core value behind everything I do on this show. But what does it really mean to normalize the conversation, especially when it comes to difficult, painful topics like rape and sexual assault? Well, it's about making space for survivors to share their stories in a way that doesn't shy away from the hard truths. It's about removing the stigma that surrounds sexual violence. It's about giving people permission to talk about their experiences in a safe space where they won't be judged, shamed, or blamed. For so many survivors, the silence around sexual violence is one of the most damaging aspects of their lives. It makes them feel isolated, as if they're the only ones who've gone through it, and that's exactly what we're fighting against here. When we have guests come on this show to share their personal experiences, they're doing more than just telling a story. They're offering a piece of their healing journey. And by sharing, they're helping others, whether those others are survivors themselves or people who may have never experienced sexual assault but are trying to better understand the impact that it has. Each story is a reminder that healing is possible, that you're not alone, and that others understand your pain. I believe normalizing the conversation also means that these topics are no longer hushed or ignored in public spaces. It means that survivors can come forward without fear of being disbelieved or shamed. It means we have the courage to talk about this at home, in workplaces, in schools, and in our communities. It's a commitment we all need to make if we're going to create a world where survivors feel safe to speak out and where sexual violence can be tackled head-on. This leads me to something that's essential to all of us, the need for everyone, regardless of background or profession, to become trauma-informed. I say this often on the show, but I can't stress it enough. Trauma-informed awareness isn't just for therapists, counselors, or police officers. It's for all of us. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, someone in the criminal justice field, a healthcare provider, or simply someone who wants to be there for the people around you, understanding trauma and its effects is key to offering support. But what does it mean to be trauma-informed? It's about recognizing that trauma doesn't just affect the mind, it affects the whole body, and it affects how someone interacts with the world. It's about understanding that a survivor's behavior, emotions, and reactions may be influenced by their trauma in ways that don't always make sense to someone who hasn't experienced it. It's about offering empathy, not judgment. When someone shares their experience of violence, being trauma-informed means listening without interrupting, without minimizing, and without rushing to fix things. It means understanding that every survivor's journey is different, and it's not up to us to decide how they should heal. For those of you who might be wondering how you can become trauma-informed, here are a few practical steps. First, educate yourself on the effects of trauma, especially the neuroscience of trauma, which helps us explain why survivors may struggle with memory, emotional regulation, or physical reactions to certain situations. Secondly, practice active listening. That means giving people space to talk without interjecting your own thoughts, experiences, or opinions. Just let them speak and let them guide the conversation. Third, don't rush the healing process. Give people the time and space they need to process their feelings in their own time. And fourth, be aware of your own biases. We all have them, but recognizing them allows us to listen with an open heart. And to all the victims and survivors of sexual assault out there, I want to say this: stay strong. I know it's not easy. I know because I've been there. I know there are days when you feel like you can't go on or when the weight of your trauma feels unbearable. But I want you to know that every step you take, no matter how small it is progress. The healing journey isn't linear, and there will be ups and downs. Sometimes it feels like a hellacious roller coaster. But every time you decide to keep going, no matter how hard it is, you're showing incredible strength. And the healing power of this podcast is here for you. Every episode, every survivor's story is a testament to strength, resilience, and the power of healing through connection. Whether you're just starting your journey or whether you've been healing for years, I hope you find something here that resonates with you. And if this show has helped you, I encourage you to share it. Share it with somebody who needs to hear it or someone who could benefit from knowing they're not alone. Share it with your community, with your friends, with family. Let's continue spreading the healing power of these conversations. Together, we can make sure that no survivor feels like they're in this alone. Together, we can normalize the conversation about sexual assault and give those who've experienced it a voice that's heard, a voice that's validated, and a voice that can help facilitate healing, not just for the person sharing, but for the listener as well. Before I wrap up, I just want to remind you to tune in next week for another episode of Sexual Assault Survivor Stories. I've got some powerful guests and stories coming your way, and I can't wait to share them with you. Thank you again for being a part of this community. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and remember to start by believing, because we all know someone whose life has been impacted by rape or sexual assault. We'll see you next week.